Jorge Strunz and Farah, two fabulous guitarists from different parts of the world who met here in Los Angeles, and well, you can hear and see the results. Gentlemen, welcome to Soundboard.
Thank you so much.
It's nice to be here.
It's very nice to have you here. How did you first hear about each other? Because Los Angeles is a big town. How did you meet?
Well, we met through a mutual friend, who actually a friend of mine who happened to have Jorge's number from a person that he took guitar lessons from in England. Mm-hmm. And I knew George from his previous group, Caldera. So when I saw his name and the number, I thought it was a great idea to call him, just to go to see him.
And what happened when he called you? What did he say? Let's get together and play?
Well, at that time, I just finished my association with the group I was in at the time, Caldera, and I sort of had the idea that it would be nice to do something with somewhat less synthesizers and tons of equipment and everything. I was looking for a streamlined thing, and I said, another guitar, that's the ticket. And so Ardashir happened to call right about that time. We got together, and I think the first day we played an old Hungarian gypsy piece called Csárdas by Monty. It's an old violin piece.
And we harmonized
it. A quick one, right. Yeah. And so we thought, there's some possibilities here, and we decided we'd get together and develop a repertoire and see where we could go with it.
Well, a lot of guitar players have read the interview you did in Guitar Player magazine in December, and it's nice to actually get you live in front of the cameras.
It's great to be here.
When you work together, that acoustic sound is really, really beautiful. I take it that is exactly the sound you were looking for, getting away from the
It really was, yeah,
sound.
very much so. I wanted to get away from electric guitars for a while. I'd been with them for so long. And acoustic guitar is what I initially loved, and in players like Sabicas and Mario Scudero, I was a big fan of the flamenco guitar players. And so I wanted to sort of see if we could develop a synthesis of some of those ideas and some other ideas that use very traditional roots of the guitar, but also would encompass some of the more progressive and improvisational kind of techniques that we were hearing at the time.
It really is a fascinating fusion of flamenco, and yet I do still hear some Persian modes. Could that be
definitely.
because of your background?
Oh yes, yes. We try to incorporate as much of that as possible. Actually, what we do is drive from those roots, like the Persian ethnic music and flamenco. And it's not really flamenco, but we derive from the harmonies and the rhythmic forms.
Actually, I suppose the ancient Persian music and ancient flamenco, they all come from the same source anyway.
Right.
Well, flamenco certainly had a lot of Middle Eastern
influence and Middle Eastern
input early on, and it's I guess in the early part of this millennium, actually in the 10th, 11th century, when the Moors and the Arabs were in Spain, which they were for 800 years, so it had a lasting impact on the guitar and on guitar music in Spain.
And then the musics went this way, and now they're coming back together. Right?
That's right, in Los Angeles.
Fusion
in Los Angeles, a historic moment.
That's right.
You also have an album out, which has just been released on which label?
Milestone label, Fantasy Milestone.
And that in that album, you use a couple of extra musicians on the side.
We actually use quite a number of musicians on that record. We have Latin percussion, we have Middle Eastern percussion, bass, and santur, an excellent santur virtuoso from Iran, joined us in one piece. So a variety of different players are on that record.
Marvelous. And I know that you're also in the midst of preparing a new album for the same label.
That's right. Our new album, which will be called Guitarras, will come out on Milestone, hopefully around July. It'll be in the stores by around that time. We're in the middle of recording it at this time.
Gentlemen, I have to ask you something which I'm sure everybody asks you. How do you play so fast? It's not that fastness is the most exciting part about the art of your guitar playing, because the choice of the notes are very elegant and very thoughtful, but they go by so quickly. Did you really work at that?
Yeah, I think we both had a sort of a predisposition to scales, scale development and scale playing, and we were influenced also by I think the players that we liked included people like Paco de Lucia and John McLaughlin, and they had both have developed this area of speed playing to a pretty developed extent. So
it's so exciting. But also, both of your right hands are quite different when you're playing. Maybe you could show us what do you do with your right hand.
Styles are almost like the opposite of each other. I hold the pick tilted, looking at it from the front, counterclockwise. And I rest this finger.
And that's your anchor.
On the soundboard, right.
And do you move from the elbow, or are you going like this, or all from the wrist?
I move from the wrist.
Ah.
Of course, that just helps me to move forward all the strings.
And do you practice with a metronome, doing scales and things too?
What I did was started everything that I play, the patterns that I play fast, playing very slow, and then just gradually taking the speed up.
Until you got so fast you didn't know you were playing fast. Yeah.
Well, haven't reached that point yet.
And Arnie, how about your right hand?
Well, it is somewhat different from artist shears. I hold my pick like this, tilting the other way, as opposed to this. This is somewhat more unorthodox. It's tilted this way, and I rest the heel of my hand on the bridge somewhat for an anchoring effect, as opposed to the finger. So it's
interesting. Now that because you're using a classical guitar, it sounds more like an oud.
Yeah, it can. This guitar in particular has an oud-like sound in some ways, and that played with a pick, you sort of get this like that Gordiness.
And yet everyone is always told, at least classical players, never use a pick on a classical guitar.
That's true. Well, that's I think the tradition of hand playing is one that's been wedded to the nylon string guitar for so many years. But I found it to be a great vehicle for pick playing because with a mixture of the steel string guitar and the nylon string guitar, we sort of enhance the high end with the steel strings and get some of the bottom, which is a slightly thicker
when it
sound.
comes together, it sounds like one instrument.
It can, yeah. It's a nice,
to it.
yeah, and which is neither steel or nylon, so it's sort of a hybrid kind of sound that comes out.
Probably the classical players tell all the students not to play a pick because if they could play that fast, they'd never play with their fingers again.
It'd be great if you could do it with your fingers, but there's not many players that can play scales that fast with their fingers. I guess Paco de Lucia is one of the few.
Yes, but only a few of the flamenco players.
That's right, a few of the flamenco players.
Well, again, we've got to get back to the music because it's so exciting and so wonderful. And again, we've got a new album coming up on Milestone.
That's
Records.
right. It should be out in July or so.
Something to look forward to. Join us again for Soundboard as we explore different parts of the world of the plucked string. And I leave you in the very capable and entertaining hands of Strunz and Farah. Good night.